Paul Harrell, weekdays from 4 to 6. Learn more at paulharrell.com.
Joining us now to talk about this, we've got the chairman of the Republican Party of Arkansas on the line, Mr. Doyle Webb. Chairman, welcome back to the program, sir.
Hey, Paul, it's always a pleasure to be with you.
So, yeah, absolutely. So tell us about this, the Reagan-Rockefeller dinner. I know what's interesting is this time last year in 2016, Arkansas was making national headlines for this dinner because candidate, now President, Donald Trump stopped by. He was the keynote. Tell us about that.
Actually, it was 2015. I don't want to
it was
you, but
wow,
it was.
Time
we
flies.
Got him just yes. But we had a large crowd for him. We even got a little criticism because we let him come to Arkansas. Aren't we glad we did?
Yeah.
And he's quite the individual, and we're so glad to have Judge Janine because she is an unabashed supporter of his. I had the good fortune of hearing her in person at a recent RNC meeting, and once she gets over being a little shy and introverted, she really lets you know what she thinks about things. Okay?
Oh yeah, that's
and of course
exactly
I
right.
say that tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
But we are excited that she's coming, and I will tell you, she actually worked with Comey at one time in New York, and she knows him well. We are not permitting the press in at the dinner. We're going to have an availability beforehand because we feel like she'll be more open and honest if she doesn't have the press, reporting. But tickets are $150. We still have some tickets, and you get those by going to arkansasgop.org. You can buy them online. If you want to meet her in person, we have reception tickets for $250 a couple. You can get your picture made with her. And so for a $500 package, you can have dinner and have your picture made with her that night. It's going to be in Little Rock at the Marriott Hotel in downtown. The reception starts at 6 and the dinner starts at 7.
Wow.
So we are excited that she's coming to Arkansas.
Yeah, again, folks, it's the RPA, Republican Party of Arkansas, Reagan-Rockefeller dinner with Judge Janine Pirro. You see her on Fox News Friday, July 28th. That's from 6 to 9. So if people want to get tickets, do they need to call a number? Do they do it online?
They can do either one. They can call 501-372-7301. And we'll sell them tickets. We'll put their name on the list and sell them they don't have to have a physical ticket to get in, or they can go online at arkansasgop.org and purchase those tickets. If they want a table, we have tables for $2,500, okay,
wow,
which puts you up closer, okay, to where the action is. We're just glad she's coming. We had to make special arrangements because we have to get her back to New York Friday night for her show on Saturday night.
Wow.
So we're really excited, Paul. You talk about Trump in 2015. I want to tell you that Trump was here. Trump is president of the United States. In 2016, we had Tucker Carlson as our speaker at the Reagan-Rockefeller dinner. And look how we propelled him into the position that he's in.
Yeah.
He was also great last year. So we think we're on the cutting edge on a lot of
absolutely. I mean, look. There's based on that recent history. I mean, that's incredible. And the Donald Trump coming to. I mean, I went. It was down in Hot Springs. And sorry, I forgot. Time flies. I forget that the presidential campaign lasts so long. I mean, it's a 2-year process.
Well, it never stops. It
doesn't
It doesn't ever start, and it doesn't ever stop. It just keeps going on.
But
right.
We're talking with Doyle Webb. He's the Republican Party of Arkansas chairman. I want to say this though, like having knowing that Donald came to Arkansas, it was when things were kind of in their infancy, and everybody came. They wanted to meet Donald. He is a huge star. He's got huge star power. But looking around the room, if I'm just being honest, I remember looking at some faces, and I might even lump myself in there as well, who were really glad he was there, but they didn't really think, right, that he had a chance at being in the White House. I mean, that's why it was the most incredible election in my lifetime, and yet he is. I mean, did you kind of get that vibe as well back in 2015?
Oh, clearly, I thought that he would run late in the race. I thought that he was running a very unusual campaign that probably would not propel him into the presidency. And all the things that he did were the right things, which I believe today he's doing the right things as he moves along. A lot of us look at it and say, gosh, that's not the way we would normally do things, but this is not normal time either. Yeah. Let me tell you something interesting about him. Normally when we had Sarah Palin in town for the Reagan-Rockefeller dinner in 2010, believe it or not, we had questions ready, and she answered questions. So I asked Donald Trump, I said, okay, do you want us to have prepared questions and you'll answer them? No. I said, do you want me to call on people in the audience and kind of protect you there and cut them off? Oh, no, I'll call on people. I'll handle the question and answer. We'll just let the questions come from the audience. And so it's very conceivable, and I don't know this for sure yet, that Judge Jeanine will do the very same thing. She's not shy at all. She's a very interesting individual.
Hey, let me ask you this. It also says here on the ArkansasGOP.org website, RNC General Counsel. That's the Republican National Committee. Tell us about that. Tell us how you got involved there.
I've been on the National Committee since I was elected chairman in 2008. And with our new chairman, Ronna Romney McDaniel, she can appoint a general counsel. That's one of the officers of the party. There's 5 officers, and she appointed me, asked me if I would serve as the general counsel and serve as state party chairman as well. And I was honored to do it. I'm the first Arkansan to ever serve as an officer of the Republican National Committee, which means I am responsible. I have a staff of attorneys, 4 attorneys at the RNC. I'm actually a member of every committee of the RNC. So it's quite an honor. Arkansas has some influence that it may not have had in prior years.
Yeah.
So it's not like I have to move to D.C. As someone said, are you going to have to move? I said, heck no, I'm not getting up there in the middle of that swamp. I don't mind going up a little bit. My Webb feet will take care of me, So, but it's a great honor to be the general counsel of the party.
Again, folks, we're talking with Mr. Doyle Webb, the Republican Party of Arkansas chairman, talking about the RPA Reagan-Rockefeller dinner this coming July 28th. That's a Friday from 6 to 9, the Marriott Hotel in Little Rock. Chairman Webb, I got a couple of what I would consider hard questions I just want to ask you. Are you up for that?
I am always up for a hard question. I may not give a hard answer, but I'm up.
Okay.
Whip it on me.
I think you can handle it. I think you can handle it. Okay, so here's the question. How do Republicans, you're the RPA chairman, so how do Republicans protect the image, their image, the reputation, especially if you look at the platform, from tax and spend big government leadership? And so feel free to respond to that however you will.
Sure. Well, I believe, and I'm asked that quite often. I tell people that primaries, if there's a candidate that is not acting in the way that you think they should act, a primary can state, what positions you want a candidate to have. If a candidate is not as conservative as you think, and there's another candidate in the race and they're more conservative, I would encourage you to participate in the primary and vote for that more conservative candidate. I think the primaries define the party. Okay? That's what I believe.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer, folks. That's the importance of Republican Party primaries. And Chairman Webb, I'm glad to hear that you support them. To support the whole process.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's kind of where, within the Republican Party, we have an actual choice.
That's right. That's right. And let me say this: I'll kind of go, and Paul, you've probably heard me say this before. I go with the Ronald Reagan belief that my friends vote the way I want them to 80% of the time. I tell people there's no perfect Republican other than me. I believe that I'm a perfect Republican. I'm sure, Paul, that you believe that you're a perfect Republican. It's hard to find clones of me or clones of you, okay?
Right.
So you have to really have some deep thoughts, be prayerful. What do you value in your 80%, okay? And if you get 85%, if you get 90%, if you get 100% of that individual, that's a blessing. Now, if you agree with that person 20% of the time, that's probably not your person you're going to vote for, okay, or probably not your friend at all in the electoral process. So I go with the Reagan rule, 80% you're my friend, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, and I've certainly heard that before. Okay, specifically with Arkansas, though, it's the Republican Party is more popular than it's ever been. I mean, people have been, knocking doors in the grassroots for decades trying to get to this point. And yet we're seeing, a lot of Democrats now switching. I mean, and a lot meaning just relatively, according, what normally that never should have happened. Historically in Arkansas, that's not what happens. So, my question, and I don't really know how to ask it because I know Democrats are switching to the Republican Party, but how do we keep Democrats out of the Republican Party? And you understand the gist of my question? How do we keep, if it's a popular party and it's the only way you can get elected, how do we keep what is a failed ideology out of the Republican Party?
Once again, I go back to that primary issue. Now, if it's a Democrat who switched parties so that they can get elected, a good primary will ferret that out, and you'll determine who is the more conservative, who is the more Republican, and the primary should take care of that, okay? As far as voting in the primary, we welcome everyone into the primary to vote. We had our largest turnout that we've ever had in the presidential primary, close to 2-1 over the Democrats. I will tell you, I think most people, overwhelmingly, most people who vote in a Republican primary are conservative. There is always the exception that someone's coming over and voting in the primary to create a little mischief, if you will, or to support the more liberal candidate. But I've never found that to be a large majority of people.
Right.
Okay? It takes a lot of courage. It still takes a lot of courage to go into a polling place and the poll worker says, what primary do you want to vote in? And it takes some courage to say, I'm going to vote in the Republican primary. And I believe if you have that courage, you're probably on your way. If you're not already a Republican, you're on your way to being a conservative Republican.
Yeah. So
okay?
I would take that. Would you support? There were some people kind of threw out some ideas in the last session about making Arkansas a close primary state. Did you ever have a position on that?
I do. I do not think this is the time to do that. I think that we may need to do that in the future. But I think at this point, Arkansas is still deciding that it's a Republican state, and I would like that to come to fruition. And if we close the primary, that's going to keep some people out that eventually would have become Republican. Once again, if I thought there was mischief, I would say let's close it. But, if it ain't broke, don't fix it at this point. Now, the other one that I'm adamantly opposed to is what you saw in Georgia, what we see in Louisiana, and what we see in California called a jungle primary.
Yeah.
And that's where everyone, Democrats and Republicans, all file and they're on the same ballot in the primary. Mm-hmm. And if someone gets over 50%, they are elected at that point.
Okay.
And that's what you saw in Georgia. You had so many Republicans running, they split up the vote, Georgia 6, and nearly elected a true liberal in that position.
Yeah.
So I'm adamantly opposed to a jungle primary. Mm-hmm. I think it's too soon to think about a closed primary.
Okay, last question. Okay, what about?
Okay, am I doing all right?
You're doing great. Yeah, and I really appreciate your time. Okay, you're doing great.
Sure.
All right, so here's the last question, and it's going to get a little bit more specific. So about those Democrats that are switching to Republicans, You have any comment on the Democrats that switch to Republicans after elections and then immediately are given committee chairmanships?
That concerns me. Okay.
Okay.
I think that people who earn it ought to serve it, and those that switch for the convenience of becoming a chairman, that concerns me greatly.
Okay. All right.
I think that I think a Republican majority should have Republican chairman. Okay, that's the way it is in Congress. Each committee should be a majority of Republicans. Same thing with the chairman and the co-chairman. I think people voted for a conservative government, and they should have a conservative government.
Yes. Mr. Doyle Webb, the Republican Party of Arkansas chairman, we appreciate it. Again, folks, it's the RPA Reagan-Rockefeller dinner with Judge Jeanine Pirro. You see her every weekend on Fox News. It's Friday, July 28th from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock at the Marriott in Little Rock. And for tickets, if you want to call for tickets, it's 501-372-7301. That's 501-372-7301. And Doyle, they can also get them online, correct? Where is that again?
Go to arkansasgop.org, and that'll come up, and you can buy tickets online, use your credit card.
Perfect.
Okay?
Doyle, I appreciate your time, sir.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Folks, we're going to go to break. The Liberty Machine is going to roll on, but we're coming back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.